Okay, how are you?
Good. Are you ready for the school year to be
Yeah,
done?
definitely. I'm a teacher too, so
Oh, yeah. So
I
you
really
have it on
can't wait.
both sides.
Yeah.
Kaiser, it's so good to see you. Did Kaiser tell you our joke is that I always see his forehead in class because he'll turn on his camera and just show me his forehead. So now I'm like, Kaiser's forehead, are you here today?
Oh, yeah.
You made
I've
him
seen
blush.
some awkward camera angles too.
Right? You're like me with your like exercise machine in the background. Like,
Yeah, oh, that's funny. We match.
mhm. Um, All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're recording. We'll see if anybody jumps in with us, but I know it's like a crazy time in your houses right now, I'm sure. So I want to make sure that we start on time. So I'm just going to go through and talk about what honors classes will look like for next year, just some of the curriculum differences so you can get an idea of it. And then if you have any questions, anything like that, like I said in my message, coming to this doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to opt to put your child in honors. This is just they're being offered that opportunity. And if after talking about it and having your questions answered and talking to your child, that's something that you're interested in, then you'll get a survey that you can actually like opt into them being in honors classes for next year. So I'll just walk through some of our curriculum stuff. Sorry, just pulling up. We usually use Zoom, so I'm not the best Microsoft Teams person. There we go. Come on. Okay. And I can't see you guys while I'm presenting, so feel free to like unmute and holler at me if you have a question or something while I'm talking. So when we talk about our honors classes, I would say the biggest adjustment is probably in math. Math has what we call an accelerated curriculum for honors classes in middle school. So in sixth grade, they cover all of sixth grade and the first half of seventh grade. So it's 6 quarters taught in 4 quarters. And that allows them to then in 7th grade do 7th and 8th grade curriculum. And then in 8th grade, they're able to participate in Algebra 1. So it is pretty aggressive that they're doing, like a year and a half of content in a year. A lot of days they'll do 2 lessons, or kind of like a hybrid of lessons. So they are definitely moving at a faster pace. And the increased workload means that they have more kind of independent things that they need to hand in, right? So there might be a couple assignments for the day and they have time to work on them, and whatever doesn't get completed gets completed for homework that night. But that means that homework might look different for different kids depending on how much they can get done in class. So there might be additional work outside of class, whether it's homework or if they have like independent time. In the past, our middle school students have had kind of like a study hall block at the end of the day. So they have time to work then also. And then in ELA, 6th graders actually do the 7th grade curriculum. So honors classes work on the grade level above. There are a lot of additional writing tasks, which is true in middle school in general, but especially because they'll be skipping the 6th grade curriculum and going right to 7th grade curriculum. So a lot of writing, and then a significant amount of reading outside of class. So a lot of their homework involves them having to take home their books and read at home. So that also takes a lot of independence on the students' part to be able to get all that reading done so that they can participate in class assignments. And then in science, we use iQuest is the name of the curriculum, and it's very inquiry based. So it's a lot of like, let's start with a problem and see if we can figure it out. Much more like investigative type of science. Again, they have a lot more reading and more independent research and projects. So they'll do like a science fair project. and things like that. But it is a lot more independence or group work that they have to be in charge of for science. And then in social studies is very similar, but instead of the science fair, they participate in National History Day, which is a themed project that the entire kids in the entire state of Maryland work on each year. So some of the things that make kids successful in honors are some of those, we call them like soft skills, right? Like their motivation, how hard are they willing to work? Can they persevere through difficult things? Are they organized, which I know is can be a problem for some of our kids as they transition from elementary to middle school. But because all of their subjects will be honors and will be pretty advanced, it takes a lot more organization to keep track of what assignments they need to complete and things like that. So organization is a big one that helps them be successful. And then just a willingness to ask for help. We know, kids in general tend to have trouble saying like, I don't understand this assignment. I really need help with it. But because it does move at that fast pace, students have to be more willing to advocate for themselves if they need support from a teacher. If something happened and your child was not successful in honors, just like anytime your child isn't being successful in school, it would be a lot of communication with teachers. And we would make sure that we had some additional opportunities for them to be supported, whether it's in study hall or a coach class. We would obviously meet as a team with parents and teachers and all those kinds of things. And a student can be removed from honors classes if they were to start in honors classes and we really felt like it wasn't the right placement for them. Obviously, taking a student out of honors is not something that we want to do, but if we felt like it was necessary, it can happen. And then just the next steps after this, you'll get an email or a Dojo message from me with a survey to complete, and it'll just give you an opportunity to say officially, yes, we do opt into honors classes, or no, we're not going to, or maybe you thought of some more questions and you'd like for us to talk about it personally. And then after you fill out that survey, I would say the best thing to do is kind of work on those soft skills over the summer. Try and, come in with an organizational system in place and talk about motivation and all of those things so that when they come in next year, they're kind of ready for that extra workload that will be put on them. So that was a lot of information. Questions for me? Sorry, I didn't mean to rush through. I just can't see your faces when I'm presenting, and so I wanted to get back to you. So questions that you have about the curriculum or just about, honors classes in general, or what this might mean for a student?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
This is Sarah. Hi, nice to meet you, Kaiser's mom. Do you have any additional concerns with people who opt to do online virtual learning as opposed to in school with honors? Is there any things that you're concerned about? Maybe because I do believe we've opted to do virtual next year.
Okay, so that is a really great question that I will get back to you about, because I'm not sure if virtual learning will be through the same teachers or if it'll be through a virtual academy next year. So if it's through a virtual academy, Kaiser might not have the same teachers who would be teaching through Hamden. My understanding is that the district is trying to do a totally virtual academy that would be separate from in-person learning, but I don't know that that's been specifically decided yet. So I would assume they would still offer honors classes through the virtual academy, but I don't know that we have that exact information yet, but I will definitely do some investigating and let you know what honors looks like virtually. I would say definitely, and I think Kaiser, is really strong at these things already, but independent work and those with the virtual academy, even more so, right? That he would have an increased workload and really have to have a lot of independence in getting that stuff done. Sorry if that wasn't the best answer.
No, it's okay. I know that you're recording, and I don't want to take it off track to more individualized answers. I was just curious if you had any more info on the virtual route.
Yeah, and I think just in general, they haven't made a lot of final decisions around what virtual will look like for next year. So I'm not sure how the honors will play into that, but I am sure that they would have to be able to offer honors classes virtually for next year for the students who qualify for them. Any other questions? Ms. Cord, did you have any questions?
I was just going to ask, how do we know which classes? Is it just all the classes that they qualify for honors, or just some?
That's a really great question. So as it is currently, it would be for all subjects. We are looking because there were a number of students, a small number of students who were like recommended, like, oh, they're really strong in reading, but honors math might be really difficult for them. So we are kind of looking to see if there's any avenue that allows them to do some classes as honors and not others. Right now, there are just 2 6th grade teachers, but in the past, 6th grade has been part of the middle school rotation, so they had 4 teachers. So I think because we're kind of reimagining what next year looks like, we're not sure which rotation they will do. If that's a concern for you, we can always, set up a call and talk about like, oh, is there a certain subject area that you are concerned about for Talon, and we could, talk through what that could look like if that's a concern. But in general, you would be opting in for all of the subjects.
Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any other? I know it's one of those things that you kind of have to think about for a while, and you can always email me after, or send me a Dojo message after this if you think of something. I think the biggest thing that students tend to have an issue with is just the transition from elementary to middle school takes a lot of independence as it is, and then to add in honors classes where the workload is increased is really kind of, adding into that. They have to learn more independence, even more so than just the normal elementary to middle school transition. And I will say a lot of times we tell parents the first quarter sometimes looks a little bit like a mess, right? Even students who have traditionally been very successful in school, sometimes that first quarter looks a little shaky because kids are just kind of figuring out what that workload looks like. But that's something, you could always be talking to teachers about, and teachers can give you a good idea of like, are they concerned about whether or not they know the information, or are they just concerned that they're not turning in assignments because they're having trouble staying organized and things like that. So, sometimes we do see that the first quarter can be a little bit tougher for 6th graders.
One more question. Are these classes smaller than normal?
So good question. They end up being pretty close to the same size because we only have 2 classes in that grade level. They end up being pretty close in size. The honors classes aren't like specifically a lot smaller than the other class or anything like that. So similar to the class size he's in now would be similar to what he would have next year.
That's good from us. Kaiser says he's excited.
Oh, good. Yay. Ms. Cord, anything else that you can think of while we're here together?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah,
it looks
sure.
good.
So I will send you in probably Class Dojo the link to the survey, and you can take some time. We're not in a rush. We just wanted to give parents plenty of time. And I do really suggest having that conversation with your child and really making sure that they understand the extra expectations. Because the other thing we found is students who are really excited about honors classes tend to be more motivated and do better in them. And then students who feel like, oh, my parents like made me take these honors classes, they're not as successful because a lot of it really is their motivation level. And if you ever need me to, be a part of those conversations with your child, I'm always happy to do that too. Okay. Okay, great. If you think of something, send me a message. If you're anything like me, I always like walk out of a meeting and then think, why did I not ask those like 10 questions that I have? So if you think of one, just send me a message on Dojo and we can talk about it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank
And
you.
look for that survey for me. I'll probably send it to you tomorrow, but just in the next couple weeks to fill it out. All
Will do.
right. Thanks.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening. Thanks for joining me.
Bye.
Bye.